About to go live. Good evening, cruisers! Tonight, we have the latest cruise news, hot off the press. We focus on CocoCay this week, and Matt Hochberg, my co-host from Royal Caribbean Blog, is going to be talking about food and choosing the best stateroom on a cruise. We also have our photo of the week and your questions answered, so stay tuned, get engaged in the chat room, and let's all learn something new together, because this is Cruise Week TV Live. Welcome, cruisers, old and new. My name is Joe, and I'm a newbie cruiser myself. Along with my co-host Matt, we set out to learn and teach you all the money-saving tips, the ins and outs of getting the best for your cruise dollar, and how to choose the best cruise for you. And this week, we're going to be looking at the island of CocoCay with our guest Don from the travel blog EatSleepCruise.com, and Matt Hochberg from Royal Caribbean Blog is going to be helping answer your questions about how to select the best stateroom for you and your family, along with a few tips for solo cruisers, and of course, talking about his favorite subject, well, after cruising itself, that is, and that is the food on board. So, let's start off tonight's show with some cruise news. So, rumors began circulating this week that Royal Caribbean has been pulling their ships away from Falmouth, Jamaica. Now, this is due to an article that was posted in the local Jamaican newspaper called The Gleaner. It said that it's because Royal Caribbean has been receiving many guest complaints about the stores and the locals in the area. The article cites 3 reasons expressed by Falmouth Mayor for the disruption of arrivals at the port. That is, 1, visitor harassment, 2, the conduct of tour bus operators, and 3, craft vendors leaving much to be desired. However, when we reached out to Royal this week, they assured us that they're not going to be pulling any ships out of Jamaica, and in fact, they still have many sailings heading over there this year. Royal said to us, "We are committed to Falmouth, and we have a meaningful number of calls to Falmouth for the 2017-18 season, which is consistent with last year. For the 2018-19 season, there are less calls to Falmouth, which has been made public when we opened for sale earlier this year as we introduced a variety of itineraries in the Caribbean. So, if you want to visit Jamaica on a Royal ship, you'll still be able to." So, Royal's Independence of the Seas is getting a makeover in 2018, is going to be adding some new exciting firsts to their ship after they held a contest with travel agents as to what was asked for on the ships. So, they'll be adding a trampoline park on the top deck. Side note, I certainly hope it's nowhere near the edge. They're also going to be adding a laser tag center and some much asked for water slides and an escape room, which I believe was formerly known as the Brig. Anyway, all of these attractions are aimed at exciting and attracting younger cruisers and families to the ships, and further dispelling the myths that cruising is just for old people. I hope nobody still thinks that, because that is a horrible myth. Anyway, moving on, DNCE is going to be starring on the Oasis of the Seas Total Eclipse sailing on August 21st, which is the day that Bird gets back from his trip on the exact same ship. He missed this by just 1 week. DNCE is going to be headlining Royal Caribbean's bucket list worthy solar eclipse viewing party with a surprise guest for an out-of-this-world performance. Aboard the exclusive 7-night Total Eclipse cruise, adventure seekers are going to have a vantage point of the century when the Oasis of the Seas positions itself right along the eclipse's path of totality, where the moon completely masks the sun for a few minutes of total darkness. In addition to the viewing party, guests on the Oasis of the Seas are going to be treated to other eclipse-themed activities, including dance parties, trivia, interactive science fun for kids and their families, and a bunch of tasty cocktails and dishes. I wonder if we're going to be able to get any live streams from that. That'd be exciting. So, we're heading off on the Carnival Horizon for our first ever Cruise Week live group cruise next year. The date is going to be February 23rd, 2019, and it's organized by our friends at Good Memories Travel. Plus, if you book through them before the end of July of this year, you need to only put down a deposit, and you'll be entered into the Cruise Week drawing to win $500 credit. Not only that, but you get to come with myself, Matt, and Bird on our live streaming cruise. We're going to be visiting Grand Turk, San Juan, St. Kitts, and St. Martin. So call Good Memories Travel to book and enter in the $500 cash drawing. As we've learned in the past, you can get extra benefits when booking with a travel agent or booking direct rather than booking direct with the cruise line. But whatever cruise you're planning to be on, give Good Memories Travel a call. You get the same great rates as booking yourself, plus you may get an onboard credit or a customer reward. Yes, they actually give you money to go cruise with. They enjoy planning and helping with weddings and honeymoons. Good Memories Travel also specializes in handling every aspect of your group cruise, family getaway, or that family reunion that you've been wanting to plan. Just imagine letting someone else do all the work while you get to relax. Good Memories Travel also plans various Christian-related group cruises. Their God is Good group cruises coming up, so be sure to check that out on their website. And they handle, of course, cruises for all cruise lines, like Carnival, Royal, MSC, Norwegian, and more all over the world. They're fully licensed by the CLIA, which stands for Cruise Lines International Association, and they've also been earmarked by Disney. Debbie Smith is part of Cruise Planners, so give her a call to see what they can do for you. It doesn't cost you anything to look them up and get your best rate. Call Debbie for a free, no-obligation quote on your next cruise. What have you got to lose? Debbie can be reached by phone at 321-338-2953, and of course, through their website at goodmemoriestravel.com, and let them know that you heard about them right here on Cruise Week TV. So Coco Cay is a small island owned by Royal Caribbean, and that means it's laid out with all the great amenities that you'd expect from the cruise line, plus your drink packages actually work on the island. So just what does it offer and what can you do there? Our guest today has been there and is ready to answer all your questions about it. So welcome to the show, Don. Tell me, how many times have you visited Coco Cay, and what is your favorite thing to do there?
Hey, Joe. Thanks for having me on the show. That's a great question, first of all. So we've been there twice, actually, and we're going back at the beginning of September for our third time, which is hopefully we'll get there. As you mentioned, sometimes the ships don't actually get to tender there given the location, but I might have to side with you that the best thing to actually do there might be to drink, but there are a lot of great other things to do there as well.
Well, I'm not going to say that was the best thing that I did there. I'm just saying I don't remember the best thing I did there because I might have had,
Right.
a little too much fun. But it's honestly, from what I do remember and from what I've seen in the picture, it's a beautiful island. There's a lot of unique things about it. So tell me, what makes Coco Cay a little bit more unique than, let's say, Disney's Castaway Cay or Carnival's Half Moon Cay? What makes it a better private island to visit?
That's a great. I think a lot of the features of both Royal Caribbean's islands, because they have, of course, Coco Cay and Labadee. But I think, as you mentioned, the layout of this island is really nice. It's easy to get around. There are multiple beaches, so you never really feel crowded there. And we like to kind of take a walk when we first get to Coco Cay, get a lay of the surroundings. Even though we've been there, you always want to jive the memory, take some pictures, and then lay out on the furthest away beach because people don't tend to get there. They tend to get right off the tender and go to the nearest beach. So if you're up to walking or even taking the shuttle, take a look around, get down there, and they have that nice beach. Excuse me. One of the great features of the South Beach too, the furthest away beach, is the new floating bar they put in last year. So they have a swim up bar. That way you can use that drink pack, as you mentioned, as you're sitting in the middle of the beach enjoying a cocktail.
Now, excursion-wise, though, like let's say I wanted to book an excursion in Coco Cay, what would be a really good excursion to book?
Well, it depends. You can do some excursions right on the island. So they offer snorkeling. They have kayaks if you want to take it out in the water and see kind of what it's like around the Cay. You can also do a couple shore excursions that take you off the island. So it's not too far from Stingray City. So if you want to do a short excursion, I think it's only like an hour and a half or 2 hours through Royal Caribbean. So you can still enjoy the beach, but then you can go swim the Stingrays. They also offer things like parasailing, the jet skis, wave runners. That way, if you like thrill seeking, like my wife does, you can still get some of that in, but then save the rest of the day for the other things that are actually on the island. They also right now have an inflatable aqua park. That's a lot of fun too, especially for your kids if they want to get in the water. And you don't really have to worry too much about safety because there's nothing too crazy there, but you can still enjoy the whole day, be in the water and watch your kids while you're relaxing on the beach. So it really depends on what you want to do. Do you want to relax? Do you want to do something that's a little bit more exhilarating? The options are up to you.
So now we have a question coming in. This one comes in from Facebook. It looks like Michael Franklin Poole. He says, "Hi Don. You mentioned you mentioned that you're heading to Coco Cay this fall. Which ship are you sailing on? And do you want to book the Majesty with him on August 25th?"
Oh, well, I know Michael real well. Actually, we're going on the next weekend cruise. So I think it's September 1st. We're doing a 3-day on Majesty. It's our first time going on Majesty. I know he's quite a veteran cruiser there. So I'm going to be reaching out to Michael to actually get some tips from him. But this will be, Majesty 3-day. I think it's September 1st.
Awesome. Okay, so now something else about Coco Cay. Now, and I remember this from the last time that I was there. Coco Cay was one of the private islands that we had to actually tender out to. Which the first time I heard the word tendering, I thought, is this going to hurt? Until I found out what it really was. So, but I hear that they're supposed to be building a pier or some way that we're not going to have to tender out to Coco Cay anymore. Do you know about when that's going to be?
Oh, well, it's first of all, Loyal Royal's dream is to have, I think, a pier there. So I believe that they have indicated that it should be done for June of 2018. So less than a year away. When we go there in September, we're going to take photos to see how the construction's going. And it's really tough to tell. Sometimes Royal's been early on projects like this. Other times they've been late. So I know they definitely want to get it ready for Symphony, but Symphony of the Seas doesn't come, I believe, until November of 2018. So if they're targeting summer of 2018, hopefully it's done sometime within, say, the next 12 months or so.
Okay. Another question coming in from Facebook. This one comes from Rich Triplet. He wants to know, can you walk or can you get to Great Harbor Cay from Coco Cay?
Did you say by walking? Is that a joke?
No, he didn't say by walking. No. He said.
I thought he said by walking. It's like,
no, he just wants to ask.
They are islands.
No.
I don't know. There's not a lot of transportation because Coco Cay is a private island for Royal Caribbean. All of the excursions and everything go through Royal Caribbean. So it's not like you can rent a boat for the day and start exploring. So everything you would need to do would be through Royal Caribbean. So I honestly don't know how close those islands are. A lot of those cays, the Royal Caribbean private islands and other islands owned by the cruise lines are close to each other. But I don't believe you'd be able to travel between them because there's no way to actually get a boat to take you there.
Okay. So now, how big is Coco Cay? And would you be able to walk all the way around it along the shoreline in a day?
The developed area you would be. So part of the island obviously is kept restricted because Royal Caribbean stores supplies and things there. But I believe the whole island itself is around 140 acres. What percentage of that is actually developed, I don't know. But we definitely have gone and done the entire loop over what Royal Caribbean has so far developed. And now with more ships going there soon, with the pier being done, I'm assuming they're going to make some of those areas bigger. But it's definitely, you can definitely take a nice roll around there, and it doesn't take too long to make that loop through the nature trail around to the beaches.
Okay. So now we have another question coming in, another question from Mary Willingham. She wants to know, could you also talk about the cabanas on Princess Cay? She's taking her 86-year-old mother-in-law there in September, and she reserved one, but on the maps they look far away from everything, and not as big as she's afraid they're not as big as the ones at Half Moon Cay. Also, it doesn't say if it includes canned drinks or snorkel equipment or towels like Half Moon Cay. If you have any information on that, that would be great for her.
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't been to Princess Cay. I do know Royal includes those with their cabanas, and other cruise lines do too, so I would hope they do. I think the best thing she can do is reach out to the cruise line and ask for a very specific, detailed list of what is included when you rent one of those. We actually are renting a beach bungalow on Coco Cay this time we're going, and I believe that includes I think it's up to 4 people, so they give you a bottle of water and then some food options with that. So I'm hoping that they do offer that with Princess, and she can let us know when she reaches out to them. So unfortunately, I don't know much more than that. Sorry.
Oh, that's all. Well, any information like that's okay. Perhaps Matt will know something about that. I'm not sure.
Sure.
Matt, do you know anything about that?
About Princess Cay?
Yes, absolutely.
No, I'm sorry. You're 0 for 3 on this one.
Well, it was worth a shot. I'm sorry about that, Mary. We did try. So now, Coco Cay has a nature trail that this part I do remember. I do remember seeing a nature trail. And the nature trail, as I understand it, is supposed to go to somewhat of a more secluded part of the island. Is that somewhat restricted, or is that part of the island just a quieter beach?
Yeah, so we've done that nature trail too. They offer a guided tour, but we walked it ourselves to look around. And if you do walk from the tender area through there, you will come out to the furthest area beach. I believe it's called South Beach now. That the beach names have actually changed a couple times on the island. They're still the same beach, but they just rotated to make it, I don't know, seem like it's newer or something. But if you do walk there, that beach tends to be less crowded. Part of that beach now is restricted for the cabana and bungalow area, but there's still access areas for people who don't rent one of those. And yeah, that's one of the beaches we tended to go to when we've been there in the past because fewer people do go there. And you can take that nature trail back or there, and there's very few people on it. And there's some little surprises on the nature trail too that make it worthwhile to explore.
Cool. So now, what from the ship actually works on the island as far as drink packages go, and what kind of food is available there?
So the drink package does work. So you're definitely going to enjoy some of those Coco Locos on the island, as long as you don't get it in the souvenir glass. They're covered. And then I think with every ship, they include a buffet lunch, which is a barbecue buffet lunch there. It usually runs a couple hours, I think, between, say, 11 and 1 or 11:30, 1:30, I guess, depending on which ship is there. And that is totally complimentary. It's part of your cruise fare. It has food that you would typically find maybe in the Windjammer for lunch. So hamburgers, hot dogs, and non-alcoholic drinks, juices, and things like that. And then there are several bars on the island, something like a half a dozen or more that you can go to. And again, if you have the drink package on the ship, whether it's a soda package or the deluxe beverage package, those work there too. So you just swipe your card and everything, those drinks, the same drinks are included there. So really, you don't need any money. You just need your SeaPass card to get there and enjoy everything that they offer for food and drinks.
All right. So what about the floating bar? Tell me more about that.
It's a bar that floats, and it's awesome. We've heard. So we haven't been there yet. We're waiting to go. That's one of the reasons I'm like, we're getting a bungalow. It's right near the floating bar, so I can crawl out of the water and make it back to my bungalow. But so they added it, I believe, last year. This is a family friendly show, Joe. Right? We're just having fun. No, that's all right.
No, that was funny.
So, but no, that's it. So again, it takes the drink package, and I believe it's a pretty well-stocked bar. So we'll have more. We'll post some stuff on social media and things and share it with you guys, what is actually available there. And I think it's pretty shallow. So if people are worried, my wife's not a strong swimmer. She's like, oh, I'm not going to floating bar. I go, I'm pretty sure you can kind of get there without having to swim too much. But then again, I guess it depends on the tide too. So I'm excited to try it at least. Let's put it that way.
I just hear the words floating bar, and all I think is like, oh, it could take just one high tide to sweep this thing out to sea. But I can't imagine it. I'm sure I'm just not imagining it right. Anyway, so now another fun thing about Coco Cay is their snorkeling adventures. Their scuba diving there. I hear they have some pretty cool stuff set up for scuba divers and snorkelers. That's different.
Yeah, well, definitely snorkeling. Yeah, so we've definitely snorkeled there. I've never done scuba diving, so I can't speak to that, but I'm sure it's great. It's a very rocky island, so you don't have to go too far out to find some cool fish and little reefs and coral there. It's within swimmable area, and some of it is roped off, or you can do an excursion that takes you, I think, a little bit further out that I think has a shipwreck or something that you can explore. But the snorkeling is pretty fun there. And you do, depending on the tide you mentioned, you do have to be a pretty good swimmer. But both times we've been there since we were able to tender, the tide was pretty calm and we were able to snorkel. And I think the rental is pretty reasonable, but if you have your own snorkeling gear, you could essentially snorkel there for free. So if you're a frequent cruiser and you have that gear, bring it along with you and you can snorkel right off the beach and it won't cost you anything.
Well, that would definitely be something that I would probably do if I didn't want to book the excursion. Otherwise, if I didn't want to book an excursion, aside from the snorkeling, what other kind of fun stuff is there for me to do? Let's say, like, if I want to go there, don't want to ride, don't want to book a jet ski, don't want to book a parasail, just want to. What would you say would be the top thing to do, or top couple things to do?
So nature trail is definitely one of them we talked about. That's fun. And it's fun probably later in the afternoon. You can explore that. And sometimes it feels like you're trespassing because you'll see occasionally a worker or someone, Royal Caribbean crew or staff walking around, and they'll wave and say hi, but you feel, should I even be walking through here? Like there's no one around. So it's very peaceful and quiet. It's really an awesome beach day. We love to just get out to the beach. We try to get on the first tender. That way we're beating the crowds. We're over planners, so we're usually up early anyway doing these things. We actually do get to the main dining room for breakfast quite often. I know there's a question earlier, but if you're not a beach person, then those other excursions are great too. You can also if you're a shopper, you can go to the straw market. I've bought things there. I was looking for my Coco Cay shirt, but it may have shrank considering it was a couple years ago, and I've been on a lot of cruises since. But it's just more of a relaxed day, I would say, on the island. So if you're looking for that excitement, then you definitely need to do an excursion. But odds are you've been doing a lot on the other shore excursions on other islands, or you've done a lot on the ship, depending what ship you're on. So finding that perfect lounge chair or a cabana or a lounger and just relaxing with a couple of drinks it's not a bad day either.
I'm glad you brought up the straw market there, and the souvenirs, because we just had a question come in from Facebook from Barbara Pepper. She wants to know what kind of souvenirs that they actually sell there.
I would say it's typical of any of the straw markets you would find in Bahamas, like Nassau. So I'm one of those silly guys, even though we go on trips, I always try to get a T-shirt from wherever I've been. And don't laugh at us, but we have a vacation Christmas tree where we have all our vacation ornaments from all the islands, all the ships we've been on, all those little Royal Caribbean ornaments. When you go in the shop and you're like, who buys this stuff? We do. But so stuff like that is what you would find probably in the straw market. Sundresses, my wife always tends to pick one of those up because they're inexpensive. So little knickknacks too, things that say Coco Cay on them. I think we have a picture on our site. On one of the top things to do is check out the straw market, and you can just see all the different variety of souvenirs and keepsakes you can find there.
Wonderful. Another question that came in from Facebook from Cherise Colley. She wants to know if you can explain tendering for those of us that might not know what tendering is. So, what is tendering, and does it hurt?
Well, it only hurts your pride because you feel like you have to wait to get on to the island. But I like to look at it as it's an amusement ride before you get to the island, because what tendering basically is the cruise ship cannot pull in and dock at a pier like you're used to, like Embarkation Day or some of the other ports like a St. Thomas or Nassau, because odds are you might be stopping in the Bahamas. So what happens is the ship docks outside away from the island, and then these smaller boats pull up, and you actually exit the cruise ship onto these boats, and they fill everyone in, and then they drive you over to the island where the boats can actually dock and let you exit. In our experience, the tendering process can be pretty smooth if you do it earlier, and it probably takes, depending on how fast they can go, because it is there, the waves can get a bit choppy, like 8 to 10 minutes. So it's a little boat ride before you get to the island. It gets you excited. You get to see the Coco Cay sign, take some selfies. It's a nice little break, and then you get on the island, and everything's right there for you.
Awesome. So that doesn't sound. I'm glad you answered that question. Doesn't sound much painful at all. The way you answer it. I've got people on Facebook telling me that they like to think of it as a mini excursion in a way. So that's actually a good way to think of it, I think. So now, do you have any tips for any first timers in Coco Cay?
Yeah. So a couple of things I already said. I mentioned try to get up early. I believe the first tender, depending on your ship, is usually around between 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. So definitely listen to the announcements or read the cruise compass the night before, see when tendering starts. I don't believe they give tendering tickets. Some ships may, some of the larger ships where you actually have to go in advance and get a number where they call you. So definitely, again, check the cruise compass for that. And so plan a little bit ahead there for Coco Cay because of that tendering process. And then we are over planners. So the other thing I would say, if you want a beach bungalow or there's a shore excursion you have to do, book it ahead of time. Don't wait till you get on board. You can go to your cruise planner on Royal Caribbean's website and pre-book everything. If you book something in advance and then decide you want to cancel it, I think you have about 48 hours before the actual tour happens to cancel it. So if you pre-book it and then get on the ship and things change, you still should be able to cancel it within 48 hours and get all your money back. But you're better off having the booking, having that reservation, and doing it as opposed to waiting to get on the ship and then finding out something's sold out.
We have a question that came in from this one looks like came from YouTube. It says, "I am John Bamber." He wants to know if is the beach and water by the. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find out how to phrase this question just right. It looks like there was a typo in it. Is the beach by the beach bed area not intended for swimming?
So
I'm having a little. Well, I think it looks like there was a typo in this question. I think.
No worries. So I think, so this is what I would say. So if you're in the Island Oasis Club, which is the best cabanas you can get, so you can rent them, and they're also reserved for some suite class members. So the actual thing is called cabanas. There's no beach there. So your cabanas, you have to walk outside the cabana area and go to the nearest beach, which is the Snorkel Beach. But if you get one of the bungalows or what they call loungers at that South Beach, that beach, there is a beach right there. Like I said, the floating bar, you can walk right into the water. But the cabana area, maybe this is what the person was asking about. The cabana area itself does not have a beach. You have to use the adjacent beach.
I think you understood that just right. So it made sense. Like once you finally explained it, it looks like it made sense. So tell us about. So tell us about your blog, or Royal Caribbean, or I mean the EatSleepCruise.com. Tell us a little bit about that and how that got started, and
sure.
About where it is now.
I don't know where it is now. That's a philosophical question, but I would say that we've been running the site now almost 3 years, which is crazy to say, and we've met a lot of great people, a lot of fellow cruisers on Royal Caribbean and maybe a few other cruise lines, but we basically started it because we're really crazy over-the-top planners. We go online. We're in a lot of groups and a lot of other sites. Check out YouTube videos like your site wasn't around, but sites like we're just constantly doing research on cruising because we love it. And we came up with this crazy idea of why not have our own space where we can share all this information because we're getting so much great information and we want to give it back. And we were doing some of that in the groups, but we said, why don't we start this thing called the blog, which we really didn't know what it was when we started it, and maybe I still don't get it. But we've been doing it now, and like I said, we try to share as much as we can because we know this is the information we look for. So the reviews, menus, not only reviews about ships, but shore excursions, all the stuff that we're interested in when planning a cruise, going to great sites like RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com or all these other places where say we're getting this information, what should we do with it? And it's been a crazy ride so far. I never thought we'd be doing it this long. And the craziest thing is when you're on a cruise and people recognize you and they start to say, or they say, I read your blog, you helped us plan this cruise, or we started this thing. And that's really the coolest thing. And meeting people like you and being part of these things, I hope to keep doing it forever. We're going to be cruising for a long time. So why not share all this information with the people we meet?
Wonderful. Well, Don, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. We very much look forward to seeing you more on EatSleepCruise.com. So, and for those of you viewers, be sure to check out Don's blog, EatSleepCruise.com. Don, thank you so much.
Well, thank you guys. Have a good one.
So, also, speaking of eating and sleeping, Royal takes us now behind the scenes to show us how they create all the fun foods on the ship. Just watch this video.
What we've really done is looked at what those dishes that are really wanted by our guests. So by doing some really deep market research and understanding what's important, not only in the type of food they would like, but at kind of what level.
We've created lots of new dishes based on guest feedback. everything that we do is based on guest feedback. So before we develop a menu, we do lots of analytics.
So for main dining room, you have great dishes that you cannot get rid of, right? Royal Caribbean without escargot and French onion soup would be unheard of. So we want to try and do those old classics, but just with a little twist.
Having our ships throughout the entire globe, so we have ships in Australia, we have ships in China, in Europe, in North America, East, West Coast, and wherever we source guests from, they have different expectations, they have different appetites. And they all want Royal Caribbean, but they also want regional. So we have a great focus on that.
The main dining room, to make the menus look contemporary, of course it's always about the food, and I would say that because I'm a chef, but it's also the look and feel of the menu itself. To come up with new menu items for the main dining room, it's a collaboration. We have traveling chefs who are out there in the fleet. Everybody has great ideas, and it's definitely an amalgamation of all of those ideas coming together.
Focusing on the details in the main dining room is so important for us. It's the service. It's that connection between the server and our guest. That experience that's created by them sets the stage, literally sets the plate to serve this amazing food.
So Matt, welcome back after your cruise on Royal Caribbean. And by the way, thank you so much for sending me an invite on the cruise. Oh wait, you didn't.
You know, it's one of those things where, you know, two's crowd, three's way too many people. I didn't want to burden you with the awkwardness of, you know, having to deal with it. But I'm so glad to be back here talking to you again, Joe.
Well, by now you're probably one of the RCL food experts, aren't you? What do you think about the way the chefs design the food for the ships?
You know, I got a chance to try out the new menu earlier this year when I was on Anthem of the Season. I got to say, the new main dining room menu, I like it a lot. I've been a really big fan of the main dining room for a long time. I'm a traditionalist in that. From my very first Royal Caribbean cruise till today, I'm a really big fan of going to the main dining room. I think it's a lot of fun. I love the service. I love the ambiance. And, of course, I love the food that's served there. And the new menu is really good. I think it really does a great job of blending, as the video said, you know, favorites, some new dishes, kind of mixing it up a little bit. I mean, Royal Caribbean's had this menu. They're previous to this, they've had their fleet-wide menu in the main dining room for a number of years, going back to about 2011 or so-ish. And, you know, that's a long time. And I think many of us have been to the main dining room on a couple occasions since that point. And it's, you know, it's time to refresh it. And I'm looking forward to them, these changes. By the way, the best thing on the new menu, I know this is not going to sound like this should be the best thing on the menu, spaghetti bolognese. I don't know what they put in that thing, but I ate way too much of it on Anthem of the Seas. It was so good.
Well, you know what? When you describe food like that, I can't blame you for leaving and not sending me the invite. That's fine. It's okay. I forgive you this one time. But now tell us this. We have a lot of people who are on the show, like that watch the show, that are people who've never cruised before. They're first-time cruisers, and we have people that have cruised for many, many years. They've got that double platinum, double diamond status, that, you know, that card that the rest of us are never going to get because we don't get invited on that many cruises. But what is it that when people go on these cruises, what would you tell them about choosing their stateroom? How could they? What's a good tip for having them choose a stateroom?
Yeah, it's a really tough decision, but it's also a very personal decision. It's hard for me to say that anybody, you know, to everybody make a generalization, but there are some things that keep in mind. I think number one, first and foremost, more than anything, budget is a big part of it, right? You're going to be looking at these prices regardless of which sailing you're looking at, and you're going to have an internal discussion in your mind, or maybe with your spouse, more of an external discussion, where you're going through and say, you know, what is affordable, and what's affordable to one person may not be affordable to another person, but it's really about, I think that's going to be the core of it, is what you can afford, because we can all dream about the suites. And certainly, I think, you know, Joe, you probably deserve a suite, right? It's about time someone put you up in a suite on a cruise ship.
Well, I'm not going to say it's just, you know, being left behind so often. I suppose
you do the hard
Cinderella
work,
should get some kind of
you
treatment.
Put the time in. That's right. You've earned it. But but regardless of which stateroom you're staying in, there's a lot of great choices to consider. But obviously, price is a big part of it. Also, what's important to you? There's a lot of things like location of the stateroom. You know, does it matter? Some people are very passionate about where it is on the ship. A balcony versus not balcony. There's a lot of different considerations to be included in there. I think the idea is you want to make sure you look at every possible option. Look how many people are in your room. Right. Here's a really common thing: is I've got a family of 4. So, you know, when we're driving around the country and we're staying at a hotel, you probably just get one room. But on a cruise ship, one room with 4 people is a lot of people in one room because those staterooms are kind of small. But if you can maybe do 2 staterooms, then you can possibly end up paying around the same price, if not even a little bit less than one of the larger rooms that can hold 4 people. But you also get separation. And as I've often said, I love my children. I really do. I love spending time with them, but I really don't love sleeping in the same room as my kids. So having separation and an extra bathroom is really cool. So there's definitely some ways you can kind of, approach it depending on who you are and what what your goals or priorities are, really. But I think there's going to be a room there that's going to be perfect for you. It's just a matter of figuring out, again, what's important to you.
Well, normally I know when I book on a cruise, which apparently isn't that often. When I go on a cruise, it's I look at the staterooms because I'll normally look at the price, because the way I see it, most of the time that I spend on a cruise ship, I'm not in my stateroom for most of the time. I'm there to sleep and to shower, and the rest of the time I'm out exploring the ship or exploring the ports, or doing some kind of fun activity with a drink in my hand on some other part of the ship. So that's just what I look at that's me. But then again, I don't like I said, I don't travel with kids. I don't travel with large groups necessarily because nobody invites me ever. I'm kidding.
All by myself.
Yes.
You know what? It's funny you mentioned that about the inside room, and you don't spend a lot of time in there. I believe that you're not wrong, first of all, but second of all is that I think if someone were to put you in a balcony room, right, or a suite, or how about that, right? I think your room would compel you to spend more time there. If someone said, "Joe, we're putting you up in a suite," dude, you're not leaving that room the whole cruise, right? You're going to be sitting over there and you're ordering the champagne.
Yeah, in that case, you might be right. I might be ordering some room service and champagne to my room and just stay in the tub the whole time. That's actually a really good point. So anyway, those are some really good tips, Matt. Thank you. So thank you so much for those tips. And we're gonna move on. Next, our photo of the week. Matt, you ready to look at the photo of the week?
I am super excited for the photo of the week.
All right. So our photo of the week this week comes from the Facebook group Royal Caribbean. And this one features Sharon Dorotham's son, who just had to have a little fun on the ship oh my God, he's in a dinosaur costume. Oh my gosh, I would have loved to see people's reactions to that. Oh my gosh. Matt, have you ever seen anything like that before?
I hang around Michael Franklin Poole a lot, but even I have not seen him stoop to that. That is that's a lot of dedication to bring a T-Rex costume on board the ship with you.
I love it.
And wear it.
I want one of those costumes. It looks like a full T-Rex thing. I can imagine him getting up in the morning and running track. Just like that.
Yeah, one of the big things these days on the internet, aside from cat videos, of course, but people in that T-Rex costume doing whatever they usually do, but in the T-Rex costume. And I don't think I've ever seen anybody do that on board, but golf clap to that person.
Yeah, bravo.
Win, sir.
You know what? I'll give an extra bravo if she has a picture of him in the dining room on formal night in that outfit.
He's not wearing shorts. It's okay.
That's true. That's actually that's really the main rule, isn't it? So anyway, guys, keep an eye out on the Facebook groups as we pick a new we pick a new group each week and feature a great cruise photo from it. And that really was a great cruise photo. So anyway, moving on. This show and all the wonderful abilities that we have to bring in guests remotely would not be possible at the level that we do it without vMix. vMix, so you know, is a live production software that powers a live show and many other high-end productions. From church services to football games, more and more productions are running on vMix. What our producer Bird really liked when he was trying to improve our show was that they give you a full 60-day trial of everything. That way you can test it out risk-free before you buy for a full 2 months. And then they have systems starting at just $350 from there. So if you're going to do any sort of serious live streaming, you need vMix. So try it out at vmix.com today. And, well, cruisers, it's getting close to time to wrap up the show. But before we go, just a few quick reminders. One, if you like our shows, you may want to consider joining the Cruise Week inner circle. You can find out more by going to cruiseweek.tv/support, and with your support, it helps us bring you guys great videos and guests each week, and helps us to raise money to bring 5 more new cruisers on the trip of a lifetime. So head on over to cruiseweek.tv/support to see all that there is offered over there. Also, if you want to show your support of cruiseweek.tv, our merch store is also open. You can get cups, shirts, hats, and much, much more. Just head over to cruiseweek.tv/merch to check out all our offerings over there. And I want to thank Cruising Cat from RC Periscopers Group for helping us out in the Periscope chat room and keeping order over there. If you want to see live streams from people on ships, head over to RC Periscopers Group on Facebook for a list. Matt and Shally are going to be back next week, and they'll be covering ways to cut down those expensive duty fees and import costs when you're bringing back gifts from the ports. Also, if you'd like a port or a topic featured on the show, you can suggest that to us by dropping an email to zach@cruiseweek.tv, and we'll try our best to make it happen. And if you know someone who's going to enjoy watching the show as much as you do, be nice and share this link to their Facebook wall. That way they can enjoy as well. All that being said, that brings another episode of Cruise Week TV to an end. So until next time, I'm Joe, and stay fun, cruisers!